I'll admit I've been in a quiet place lately. I've just been enjoying my garden, harvesting, spending my days processing food. But I've got to kind of get out of that lethargy because now is a time that I really need to be making some decisions. I have a lot of things that are just now popping. Tomatoes are just turning red. Things are just now getting going. My okra hasn't even really started very well yet. But I also have a lot of things that are coming to an end. And when it comes to saving seeds, you have to make some decisions. You have to decide what you're going to go ahead and harvest so that you'll have food for the here and now. And then you have to think to yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice so that I'll have food that's even better and more abundant later? Some of my plants look very healthy at first, but then you're starting to notice some yellowing, some browning, some even looking a little crunchy and dying, but that's normal. Most of the what is happening with these is cucumbers. My cucumbers tend to start get this heat gets to them. So you have to decide, do I want to take the last of those cucumbers or do I want to leave them and let them overgrow, get very big, and then harvest them for seeds? Some of my plants are still starting, like these half-runner beans. They're still being pollinated. They're just starting to set off beans. So I'll leave these for a while. But it's a lot of other things in my yard, like these Louisiana purple pod beans. They're winding down. I'm thinking I need to quit picking the beans and let them go to seed. Everything has to be considered, no matter what kind of fruit it is. Peppers, tomatoes, corn. You have to just stop and think at a certain point, what do I want to get seeds from? This is my cushaws. My plants are telling me, we're done. We're done. We're about out of here. I harvested all of my cushaws except for one. So I know now that I need to leave this last one and let it get very, very mature so that I have really mature seeds inside of it. I need to do that. I can't take this last one right now, but I have the other ones in my house I can enjoy, so it's okay. I've talked to y'all several times about the fact that I'm trying to make landrace seeds. I'm getting into landrace gardening. In my mind, it just makes the most sense to me. You plant things and then you save from the strongest plants, from the fruit of the strongest plants, and you save seeds. And you plant those again next year, and then you save from the strongest the next year, and so forth and so on. You can even select for taste and everything, like these dried pole beans. These are just pole beans. You don't harvest them for snap beans. You would let them go to dry beans to make for like soups and things. But I planted a whole row of these this year. I mixed all my varieties. I just mixed them up. They have just all kind of different dried pole beans here. And I've let them go and I'm harvesting now. I'm almost done actually. There's only a few more beans on here, but I'm harvesting the seeds out of the dried pods. And it's working out so good. I'm enjoying it. It's like opening Christmas presents every time I open one of these seeds. But I know too that I'm creating kind of landrace varieties. The bean seeds don't really cross very easily. It's not that I'm sitting here trying to create unique seeds. What I'm trying to really do is get seeds to be acclimated to the climate where I live. My particular yard, actually, my dirt, to my soil, to the climate on the hill where I live. I want them to learn to grow here. I want the ones that seem to like to grow here to grow and stay here. The genetics in those seeds to get stronger and stronger where they'll be happy here and they'll grow better year after year. I'm doing this for all of my pole beans this year. I have 3 types, and I'm also doing it for these bush beans. This is dried bush beans. Again, you would be harvesting these anyway for soup beans, not necessarily for a snap bean. I come out here every day and harvest whatever pods have dried up on the plants. I've still got a lot that are still in the green stage, a lot that are just about dried, but every day there are some that are dried. So I take what I can get, I bring them inside, and I let them sit a few more days. And then when they're really dry and crunchy, I just harvest the seeds out of it. And I'm still going to let those seeds sit out a few days, or weeks actually, before I would ever put them in any kind of container. You really want to let them dry out really good to save the seeds from these. Here's a look at the dried bush beans that I've harvested so far. I leave the pods in here and let them dry out a little bit more before I ever take any seeds out. I just like to get them as dry as possible. But the seeds are beautiful. I recognize the little white and pink ones there at the top. I think those are Lena Cisco bird egg beans from Seed Savers Exchange. And then those gold ones with the maroon swooshes on them, those are tiger eye beans, I'm pretty sure. And I think down there at the bottom, the brown one, little brown speckles on the tan one, I think those are my pinto beans. And then there's some tan ones in there that are just kind of plain looking. I think those are Ireland Creek Annie beans. I don't know. It's hard to tell exactly what they are sometimes, but I know they're coming out good, and I'm happy and I'm satisfied with them. So this is so fun for me to do. I love coming in every day and seeing which ones I can go ahead and open. My pole beans are even more beautiful. I have lots of varieties of those. I recognize some Mayflower beans in there, I think, some turkey craw. The little black one there toward the bottom, I think, is a Cherokee Trail of Tears bean. And then that grayish brown one there at the top, the grayish green, I think that's a Fort Portal Jade from Baker Creek. So this is exciting. Like I said, it's like little Christmas presents every day. These are my Kalima beans, or Kalima, however you want to say it, from Baker Creek. I will go ahead and 100% endorse this bean for anybody that wants to grow a bush bean. I have had these seeds and not planted them, and now I have, and I cannot believe that I had not ever planted these before. This has been the most productive bush bean I've ever planted. Kalima beans, I got them from Baker Creek. You may can get them from other places. But they hit the mark. I filled gallon Ziploc bags with them just from this little area, 2 little rows here. It was amazing. And they can get very, very long and still stay amazingly tender. I never saw any of these beans start looking tough or anything, no matter how big they got. It was amazing. So I went through yesterday and I picked beans, and I left a few to start saving seeds from. I've decided that I'm just not going to pick any more. I've got plenty actually, but also I've kind of picked them down now to where I don't think they're going to come back as prolific as they have been before. But the ones that do come back, I'm going to let them swell up, overgrow, and get those seeds out of them when they dry out. I just can't imagine even having to ever buy these again. I'm sure I'm going to be able to save a good many seeds from these. So that was a great purchase. I've planted okra here and there all over my yard. I don't necessarily have rows of it. I just planted it everywhere. It is just now starting to take off. So I haven't even thought about saving seeds yet because I'm just hoping to get pods this year to have some in my freezer and everything. But I will save seeds from the plants that do the best. I think this might either be Eagle Pass okra or might just be cowhorn. I can't remember what I planted here. But if it does good, I'll eventually let some of the pods go to seed. My main dilemma this year, or right now I should say, is my sweet corn. I ended up with a pretty good little stand of sweet corn. I had to plant a couple of times because of bad germination, but I ended up with a pretty good stand. This also is a Landrace experiment. I put all different varieties of sweet corn in this corn patch, and I'm waiting to see which ones that I want to save, because that's the dilemma. When you're saving seeds from sweet corn, you can't harvest it. You have to let it go ahead and dry up on the stalk. And right now, some of it is looking so good and so nice. And I even harvested one cob yesterday, and it was fantastic. When I pulled back the shucks, it was perfect. And you just want to harvest it all and start eating it, but you can't. You have to go ahead and delineate some of your plants to say, I'm not going to touch these. You have to just say, I'm going to save these cobs and let them go to seed, and then save the seeds. And that's a hard thing to do because I really, really would love to just harvest all of this right now and process it and get it in my freezer so we could have corn, for a long time. But some of it I'm going to have to just earmark and say, no, I'm going to leave it. And that's kind of hard. That's a dilemma. I'm working really hard to try to figure all this out. It's a process. I just sometimes walk out there and just stand and look at my corn because I'm just thinking about it. Which traits do I like? Which traits? You're not necessarily just looking for the tallest plant. You're looking at your cob size. You're looking at maybe how many ears per stalk. There's a lot of little things to think about when you're trying to figure out which seeds you want to save. You could just save them all, I guess, but that's a lot of corn seeds. Plus, you just want to kind of focus on traits. So you have to think about all those things. And that's kind of part of landrace gardening. But it's exciting. I think it's interesting. It's making me pay so much more attention to each plant to see which ones just haven't been disturbed by bugs, which ones are strong, and I'm enjoying it. Now, I did plant this very near some field corn, which you're really not supposed to plant field corn and sweet corn by each other, and I did, but I'm not really worried about it. I did plant them about a month apart. However, field corn takes longer to grow, so some of this has all ended up tasseling at the same time. Have I ended up with something possibly crossing? Yeah, maybe, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sweating it though. I'm just not sweating it. I'm looking at all of this as a learning experience, and I'm really just not sweating it. If some of my sweet corn crossed a little bit with a field corn, it's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. You have to live and learn. I don't have that many different spots I can put corn, so yes, some of it's kind of near each other. But I'm excited how this is all going to work out. I'm going to be really, I think I'm going to put a little orange surveyor tape, some orange surveyor tape on some of this. And that way I can tell myself, okay, this is the stalks you've selected. Leave those alone. Don't harvest them. But the rest of them, I'm going for it. My field corn down here that's right near it is the Onavino corn. It was created, made, I guess you would say, to grow in the high desert climates of Arizona. I thought it would probably do good down in this hot South Louisiana, and it has. I've been happy with that. It has put off some beautiful ears. It's grown tall. I think it's about 10 or 11 feet tall right now. It's stayed healthy. I had 2 stalks get attacked by some type of worm and really did some damage on 2 stalks, but I just ignored it. And guess what? Those 2 stalks recovered, and every other stalk in here has done fine. I think I had 100% germination. If I didn't, it was very, very close. But the ears are healthy. They're thick. They're strong. Not every stalk has an ear. I've noticed that. Not everyone does, but most of them do. So this is field corn though. So I'm not even worried about selecting, I guess you would say, from this. I'm going to let it all dry. I'm just going to let it all dry. From the plants that do seem to be the best, I guess once I shuck it and I'm really able to look at that corn, then I'll know that I'm going to save seeds from those ears of corn. The rest of it, though, I'm going to take, and I know someone that will grind corn for me, and I've never done that before. I've never made my own cornmeal, but I'm going to try to get my cornmeal ground from it, so I'll have that way of putting some food on the shelf, and then I'll have the seeds. So it's been an interesting experiment growing field corn for the first time for me. I'm just going to have to sit here and be patient and watch it dry out, but it's exciting. And it's another way to learn. This landrace gardening, I feel like I'm learning more about the plants than I ever did before. I focused more on soil and what to buy or what to spray and on and on and on. Now I'm just trying to focus on the plants themselves and how to grow healthy plants by selecting seeds from the healthiest plants, from the ones that didn't go down to bugs and didn't get attacked by things, and coming out with good stock that'll hopefully bring me food for years to come. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's those thoughts we have to get kind of in our mind and in our brain, and when it makes sense, you're kind of able to back away from some of those old methods and really dive into doing it this way, and I like it. One seed saving example that's pretty easy to show you is my rondanese squash or zucchini. You can call it either one. But I planted 3 plants. This one here on the right thrived. It took off from the get-go. It put on squash first. It's given me a ton of squash. The 2 on the left, which are hard to differentiate right now, but they were terrible. They stayed dwarfed and stunted, and I just about gave up on them. I didn't pull them up, but I just about gave up on them. But the one on the right just was a workhorse. It gave me all kind of zucchini. So what I've decided is, fine, these have decided to grow. I'm going to take advantage of it. They're starting to set fruit. They're putting off some little fruit right now. I'm going to take advantage of it and, of course, harvest and eat all I can get off of those plants. Whatever they want to give me, I'll take it. But I'm not saving seed from those plants. No way, no how. I'm saving seeds from the one on the right. I'm saving seeds from the workhorse. The rondanese squash are meant to be harvested kind of small. This fits kind of in the palm of my hand. I'm kind of calling it like an avocado. Might be a little bigger than that, I guess, when you harvest it. But this is about the size you want them. This is the perfect size to harvest it. It'll be tender when you cut it. It'll be easy to cook. It'll be great. When you go to save seeds, though, you want them to grow a lot larger than that. You want them to overgrow, to get way more mature and overgrown than ordinary. So that's what I'm letting happen right now on the plant that was on the right. I'm letting these squash grow. They're about the size now of some not quite full-size cantaloupes. They're pretty big. And the seeds in them, though, when they do that, they get mature. When growing squash and cucumbers and wanting to save seeds, you do have to let them kind of overgrow and let those seeds have a chance to get large and mature. You don't want to harvest the little tiny, thin, papery looking seeds that can come out in the beginning. So let them overgrow. That's what I'm doing here. And I'll hopefully have a supply of rondanese seeds for a long time and not have to purchase those again either. My Appalachian pole beans have been workhorses for me this year. They've really done better than I expected. They didn't get huge, especially on this end, but they put off a lot of beans. But I've shut down production on those too. I've shut it down. I'm going to let everything that's left on here go to seed. Now these, when I say Appalachian beans, they're my greasy beans, cut shorts, and other varieties of pole beans that are from seeds I got from companies that strictly sell varieties that are popular in the Appalachian area of America. So I mixed them together, though. It's not maybe something some people would do, but I did mix these together. I let them grow together like this, and then I'm going to let them go to seed and save seeds. And then those seeds will just be mixed no matter what they look like. And then next year, I'll start planting these again, and I think they'll do better and better as time goes by. And when you're doing these green bean seeds for actual snap bean type beans, beans you want to leave whole, you just let them keep growing. The seeds will swell up inside the pods. And then eventually, over time, it takes, I think, about maybe 20 days for these seeds to go from their green stage to dried, about 20 days. But don't worry about the days. Worry about what they look like. But when they dry and they get to where they feel dried and papery when you feel them and everything, that's when they're ready to harvest. You can take them inside, let them even sit in the pod for a while if you want to, but then eventually you can shell those seeds out of there. And it'll make some healthy seeds, I'm hoping. And I'm looking forward to kind of, instead of it being what I always call my Appalachian beans, I'm kind of creating my own variety, my own beans, my own strong beans that'll grow down here year after year after year. So rather than think of them as this out-of-state bean growing here, they're going to be mine here shortly. My large squash and cucumber and zucchini patch is overgrown, but it is still kicking off so much that I just can't stop right now. I'm really harvesting a lot of zucchini and squash constantly. My cucumbers in this particular area, because it does get a little shade during the day, they are really just now starting to pop a lot too. So I'm not ready to stop and start saving seeds here, but there's a couple of things going on in my mind. Number one, I will eventually do it. Yes, that I need to earmark some things. That's what's going through my mind. Which plants do I want to earmark? But number two, because it's so overgrown and because I'm having a hard time finding things in there when I go to harvest, it's just terrible. It's like I'm having to dig for treasure. Because of that, I know for a fact I probably have cucumbers and squash in there that I've missed. And I bet some of those cucumbers are way overgrown. I've found a few lately that were huge. I know I probably have more in there because I can't even see my feet when I'm in there harvesting, much less find every little thing that's growing. So some of them are probably on their way to saving seeds already without me, without me even fooling with it. And that's okay. If I run across things, it's fine. That'll be okay. It's still putting off a lot though, and the little bees are still working. And so while it's putting off, I'm going to harvest what I can, but I know I'll have plenty of time to save later. I have never saved tomatillo seeds. I grew them before, but I have never saved the seeds. So that'll be a learning experience for me this year. I'm assuming, I need to look this up a little farther, but I'm assuming that you save them the same way you do tomato seeds. So I don't have to necessarily let the plants get over mature or anything, but I do need to find some good, decent little sized tomatillos that look healthy and all, and cut them open and get those seeds out. I need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's how you save them. They're a little bit smaller than a tomato seed, but I'll have to work with those. For my ground cherries, however, I'm going to let them work for me. Rather than doing any type of seed saving, I'm just going to let the little ground cherries that fall to the ground, I'm just going to let them stay. I've harvested a whole lot. I'm still going to harvest a few more. But when I get to the end, some of these ground cherries that have just fallen to the ground, instead of taking them and processing them inside, I'm just going to leave them laying there. I've heard that ground cherries reseed easily and that kind of once you grow them, they'll come back in those areas. But I feel like they only do that, by leaving some ground cherries there. So I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to fool with anything. I'm not going to worry about burying them or doing anything like that. I'm just going to let them fall to the ground. And I'm just going to give them this area. If they want to come back, fine. If they don't, I still have seeds in my house. I could start more. But I'm going to see if I can let these plants start working for me. My little melon and pumpkin row on the side of my corn patch has been hit and miss. Some of my plants started out good, but now they're kind of dying off. They're looking rough. I've tried my best to keep all this growing, but some have not. But then others have. One of the things that has been successful is my North Georgia candy roasters. One plant has done really well, and it put off about 5 of these winter squash on there. So I grew these last year. They did seem to do good here in Louisiana, so I tried them again this year, and this particular plant is doing very good. So what I really need to do at this point is kind of select at least one of the squash to save seeds from, and then the other ones I'll just harvest and process and everything. But they tasted very good last year when I roasted them, so I wanted to grow them again, and they're doing well. Some of my other ones, though, not so good, but that's okay because if they don't want to grow here, I don't want to force them to grow here. Here's the last of my pole beans along my house. I'm going to do the same thing as the other ones. I've mixed all these varieties as well, everything from Blue Lake to rattlesnake pole beans, and I will be saving seeds from those once they swell up and dry up. Basically, the moral of this whole video is observe your plants. When you see a plant that loves growing, like this one here loves growing, it's going across my yard. But when you see plants that love growing and that are happy at your house and that are thriving at your house and that are putting off good fruit that's healthy and that's resisting pests and that's just looking like it wants to be there where you live, save those seeds. Save those seeds. That's all I'm saying. You won't have to repurchase things year after year. When the genetics of your seeds is strong and you make it stronger by adapting it to your climate, you won't even be having to purchase a lot of amendments for your soil or any sprays or any fertilizers really. When those seeds know your land and want to grow there, they'll grow. It makes things so much easier. I invite everybody to really look into landrace gardening. Just think about it. Run through the videos from the channel I recommend at the end of this video and just learn a lot about it. And at least maybe start trying with just one type of crop that you grow. I guarantee you, you'll love it. I guarantee you, you'll be happy trying some landrace gardening techniques. This is Lainey from Hilltop Home Place. I'm wishing y'all the best this year with your gardening. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.